Before we take your phone calls, we have an interview right now with the owner of the Sooke Harbour House, located actually 45 minutes from Victoria on the west coast of Vancouver Island. Sinclair Philip is on the line with us. Say hello, Sinclair.
Hello, Owen.
Yes, hello to you too. So tell us, your property is located on the tip of Vancouver Island. Sooke Harbour House offers spectacular views of the ocean and mountains. The restaurant is widely recognized one of the best on this maroon piece of coast. This 28 uniquely designed room inn with its private edible gardens nestled on the bluffs by the sea offers its guests an unforgettable experience of beauty, culture, and a culinary experience unsurpassed and recognized as one of the best in Canada and the United States. This historical inn has quite a bit of history and attached to it. Can you tell us a little bit about the history about Sooke Harbour House and how it's been transformed into this romantic, award-winning hotel and restaurant?
Oh, and this property has been used for centuries by the First Nations people because it has southern exposure, really good clamming and fishing grounds, and it's just kind of an ideal piece of real estate out of the wind in a fairly warm place, if you can believe it. There are palm trees growing here that survive year-round, and it's not quite the image that people usually have of Canada. So this Sooke Harbour House was situated on what was a camping ground in the earlier days, and a number of cottages were built along the ocean side, and people would come out in their Model T Fords for an exciting weekend away from Victoria. And when we took this place over, which was 32 years ago in 1979, there was a small inn that was rebuilt after a fire in 1929, so quite a lot of what the inn was, and it was very well built, is still remaining. Beautiful old dining room, and with some beautiful beams and spectacular views to the south over the Straits of Juan de Fuca, overlooking seals and sea lions, with good fishing, and the Olympic Mountains, which are about 7,000 or 8,000 feet in the backdrop, with some cruise ships going by at night. And since 1979, we've expanded it somewhat, and we now have 28 rooms, all have wood-burning fireplaces, all have a view over the ocean. They're all spacious and comfortable and very quiet. And that's where we are today.
And it looks beautiful. I want everyone to follow us online. SookeHarbourHouse.com is the website. That's SOOKE harborhouse.com. The restaurant at Sooke Harbour House has been applauded again and again by local and international publications and is perpetually improving. The menu changes daily and offers authentic Pacific Northwest cuisine featuring local seafood caught the same day and organic greens grown in the hotel's expansive edible landscape kitchen gardens. Winner of the 2010 award for the most excellent eco resort from acclaimed international travel resort review Condé Nast. Please let our listeners know about your philosophy of the Sooke Harbour House and how this is helping our environment.
Well, first of all, we sort of subscribe to the slow food philosophy of good, clean, and fair food. By that, we mean that we want it to be flavorful. We want our suppliers and our employees to be paid properly. And we want the food to be as safe as it possibly can, as well as being good. So we have certified organic gardens, and we also have a certified organic farm where we raise pigs, we raise sheep. We have 3 greenhouses there, which we use primarily in winter. We have year-round gardens on the property itself where we grow hundreds of types of edible flowers, vegetables, and edible culinary herbs. And what we do, and what we've always done, which is about as old-fashioned as things come, is we serve fresh, regional, seasonal food every day. The menu changes depending upon what is best from this area, and our food tends to be lighter. So we do have some meats, but they're free range. They tend to be a little bit lower in fat, except for things like duck at the end of the season. The fish comes in the door on a daily basis. My next-door neighbor supplies us with crab, and it's pretty spectacular. It comes in fresh to the kitchen every day, as do things like crabs, spot prawns, you name it. So our chefs are very talented and very creative, work with whatever is fresh every day, and present that food beautifully. We, for instance, have won many major culinary awards, but one of the most important to us is Vancouver Magazine's Critics Poll, and that's been running for 19 years, and we have won Best Restaurant on Vancouver Island every year since that began.
Wow. That's really saying a lot. I mean, all these different awards, the menu that changes every single day. I noticed that you have the seaweed garden. It's so unique and part of the natural environment at the Sooke Harbour House. How many varieties do you have, and how do you use them?
Well, we probably have, well over 100 varieties of seaweed, but we probably use about 20 different types, and some of the seaweeds that you would probably recognize are Alaria, which is very common here, which the Japanese call wakami, Laminaria, which the Japanese call kombu, but we have a special variety, which is Saccharina, which translates as sugar kelp, which is quite delicious and very good. We have Porphyra, which is the equivalent of Japanese nori, which First Nations people ate abundant quantities of. We have sea lettuce, which we use a lot, dulse. We have bull kelp, which is Nereocystis. We use these in a variety of different ways. We use them in sauces quite a lot. We use them as flavorings in stock. We make little cups with sea lettuce. We put a tiny bit of maple syrup on them, put them in a little cup, and then use that as a presentation dish. It can be eaten raw. It's quite delicious. We pickle bull kelp. We pickle a variety and pickle and flavor a variety of these different seaweeds. We use them in different ways practically every day. We dry quite a lot for the winter, but we primarily use them from about late April through till about the end of September, which is the end of their natural cycle in the ocean, except for a handful that are out there year-round. And it's not only is it a good food, it's a very healthy food. You look at the Japanese population, and the average woman there lives to be over 90 years of age, and anywhere from 5 to 10% of their entire diet is seaweed. So it's a natural for us. It's at our doorstep. It's beautiful. It tastes good, and it's very healthy. So we've always used quite a lot of that.
Wow, I didn't realize there were so many different kinds of seaweed. Now, you also have a bunch of different kinds of wild mushrooms, and how are those so important in your menus?
Don't get me started on that. My wife says I'm completely obsessed by mushrooms, and next week I'll be joining your beautiful country. I'm on my way to the Telluride Mushroom Festival in Colorado, where a number of my friends are very knowledgeable of mushrooms will be for collecting foods and cooking them and presenting them. It's something that we're very fortunate here with our rainforest a little bit further north of here to have all kinds of beautiful mushrooms. So we have the Matsutake mushroom, which we call the pine mushroom in Canada, which is really one of the favorite mushrooms of the Japanese, highly aromatic. You barely cook it, just phenomenal. You're very familiar with chanterelles. I collected with a couple of friends of mine probably about 25 pounds the day before yesterday. We have porcinis or king boletus mushrooms here in abundance starting about mid-September. We have oyster mushrooms about 10 months of the year. We have morels. I just went with a friend of mine a little bit further north of here, and we came back with literally a car full of fresh morels. They were beautiful. We have admirable boletes. We have all kinds of different mushrooms here. I go out probably 200 times a year myself collecting these mushrooms. So it's something I really enjoy. It's a nice hike, and you bring something beautiful back but that stays fresh for a little while. You dry them, and it's another beautiful and delicious flavoring in our food.
Awesome. Now, you also have an award-winning wine cellar, an extensive wine list. You got about 15,000 different selections, making it one of the 7 best wine cellars in Canada. I mean, this is an amazing testament. Please tell us who makes a lot of your selections, how long your wine list, and how your guests make a selection to pair with their entrees.
I need to correct you on one little detail there. I don't need to be rude, but
okay.
We usually have about 15,000 bottles in our cellar, which is pretty big but not huge. There's certainly a number of restaurants in the United States and Europe that are bigger, with bigger cellars. But we usually have about 15,000 bottles, but in terms of selections, we vary between, over the last 10 years before the recession began, we probably had about 20, on an average, 2,300 selections, or that is different kinds of wine, and now we've cut back and we're probably over the 1,500 mark. So, we have a really good selection of all the very best American wines, Carter's Cellars, Screaming Eagle, you name it, and Envy Cellars, a lot of really good ones. And, of course, the big French chateaux, whether they're the chateaux of Burgundy or the the chateaux of Bordeaux, the various producers in Burgundy. But most of the wines that we actually sell are from British Columbia. They're less expensive. People, when they come here with local food, want to have local wine. So we probably have over 100 British Columbia producers on our list. We're better in white than we are in red. We make good ice wine, and we make really good sparkling wine, our equivalent to champagne. So I do most of the selection I have over the years, but we have a number of sommeliers working for us. It wasn't very long ago that all of our waiters were also certified sommeliers. on an average in the restaurant, we probably have 2 at night, but they're not pretentious. They're just knowledgeable people who are there to help you with wine. To just give you a big example, yesterday we had some French people in the dining room and who insisted on trying a local wine, and I suppose some restaurants would have tried to sell them a $200 bottle of wine, but I was very happy to recommend a biodynamic British Columbia wine, which went very well with their food that they were delighted with. There are lots of really good values here, and a pretty terrific selection of wines.
Wonderful. With its network of local fishers, foragers, and food producers, this dynamic couple have created one of the most internationally recognized and acclaimed inns in this country. With the inexhaustible food knowledge of Sinclair and the artistic eye of Frederic, Sooke Harbour House has mentored and produced some of this country's most respected chefs, says the release from Rideau Hall. Can you tell us about your talented chefs and what is the most important quality you look for when selecting them?
Oh my God, well, you know, we've been lucky over the years. I couldn't give you the whole list. There are probably 20 or 25 of Canada and in some cases American chefs who have either started out here or came midway in their careers. And if you go to a lot of restaurants, you'll notice the menu stays the same every day. That's hard on a chef's creativity because it becomes paint by numbers. You have to reproduce a good quality every day, but you don't get much of a chance to grow or to experiment. Whereas with a menu like ours, where we change our menu absolutely every day, we trust the people who are here. They have a very high caliber of training when they come in here, and we trust them to produce very good food, or we wouldn't hire them. So these people have been able to work differently, creatively, and advance their careers very quickly. I mean, we've had some of Canada's best apprentices of the year. People like Michael Statland, who is certainly one of the leading chefs in the world. He was chosen as one of the top 10 chefs in the world last year by a British culinary publication. We literally have important key staff members in Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, some of the, probably 3 out of the 10 best restaurants in Vancouver, and not to mention Vancouver Island. So there's just a lot of great disciples out there who've carried on our philosophy to some degree. So it's kind of nice for me because I can go to just about any city in Canada and become very spoiled by somebody that I once worked with, and that's a great treat. And just to see all these people using more and more local foods, intelligently, creatively prepared, is a real reward for both my wife and myself. We're very proud of this.
Great.
And the award that you're referring to is we are a constitutional monarchy here. Of course, the monarchy doesn't really play a very big role in governance. They're more symbolic, but they have a representative in Canada called the Governor General. And so this is the first time we've ever had a culinary award in Canada, which is a pretty high level. We've had what is called the Order of Canada to recognize various heroes and people who contributed a lot to Canadian culture. But this culinary award was just decided upon for the first time last year, and we were one of the first 17 recipients, so we're pretty proud of that.
Well, you should be very proud of it. I mean, you guys got so many things going for you. The Sooke Harbour House has won many awards over the years, such as, like you said, the Governor's General Award in celebration of the nation's table for mentorship and inspiration, to name one. How many others, and what are they? And did we hear correctly?
How many awards?
Well, yeah. And what did we hear correctly? Anthony Bourdain was a guest with you?
Oh, he certainly was. And I sort of wondered whether or not I'd like him because he's bigger than life on television. But he was one of my favorite people of anybody who's ever come here. He's actually a pretty phenomenal guy. And he understood what we were doing right away, and we really enjoyed our relationship with him. And we've met some great and wonderful people and been featured on television, and we've had some nice awards. We were best restaurant in the world for authentic local cuisine in Gourmet magazine when that was in existence. We won Johansson's Most Excellent Eco Resort Award. We've been on the gold list for Condé Nast Traveler, one of the top 5 hotels in Canada by Travel and Leisure. We won the Grand Award in the Wine Spectator for 10 years in a row for our wine list. We've been given a number of ecological awards, environmental awards, of quite a few, because we're certified organic and we're trying to be as green as we can. We won an award by Travel and Leisure magazine for World's Best Service a couple of years ago. And even, in Mountain Living magazine, we were best small inn in North America. We've won quite a few awards, but it's not really the awards that are important to us. It's always gratifying. it's seeing people go away happy, enjoying their meals, going back to their marriages refreshed, or getting engaged, or just getting away from here with a positive feeling about life and what are sometimes challenging times.
Yeah, no doubt. These are some challenging times.
You heard of that?
Yeah, I heard a little story about that. What was the inspiration as a couple you and Frederic had in achieving this level of recognition, and how do you raise the bar from here?
Well, we've always done the same thing. We've always had the same philosophy, and we're just trying to maintain the standards that we've always had. In terms of the food philosophy, most of my life I've eaten very good local food with my grandparents and parents, and we lived in France for a while in a village where practically nothing came from outside the village. There might have been oil and coffee and some chocolate, but not much else. So that was a natural thing, and we've been very important in supporting very small-scale farmers around here, and still work closely with them, and they really improved the availability of good produce within the area. And just working with the quality of people we do, such as our young chef Robin Jackson right now, has been an the relationships with these people is really the inspiration for what we do. Of course, we enjoy the pleasures of the table and the pleasures of a glass of wine, but just the whole community that we've created is probably the most important thing, which continues to inspire us and keep us going.
Great. You also have displays of art throughout the Sooke Harbour House. It's a collection of over 200 local artists, and it's uncompared in Canada. Can you please tell us about your artist and gallery?
Well, you're talking to the wrong person, because really my wife has written a book on the art of Sooke Harbour House, and it's featured several of our children. All three of our daughters are very good, respected artists in their own right. My wife has always been close to artists and has done whatever she could to promote them. So we really are a showcase the whole place is a showcase for Canadiana, for things Canadian, because when people come here, we want them to experience something different. When they come here, they don't expect Las Vegas, they don't expect New York, they want to find out what Canada's like, and so that's what our artwork represents. Some of it is impressionistic, some of it is very realistic. We have a lot of sculptures, including in our outdoor gardens. There's quite a wide variety. I couldn't get into, and we have quite a lot of, we have a number of mosaics here as well that are very well rendered. And on top of the artwork, all of our furniture is made locally by local artisan cabinet makers and made out of local wood. So it's really a showcase for artisan works of all kinds here, without getting into the names of a lot of the people.
Great. Your lovely wife, Frederic, is said to have beautifully decorated each of the 28 rooms with a different theme to add to your guests' incredible experience while staying at the Sooke Harbour House. What are some of the unique features of the rooms? What makes these so appealing and memorable?
Well, if you go into the Raven's Nest, which is one of our nicest rooms, the bed also has a tree growing out of it. And by that I mean it's a tree made by a sculptor, but it's pretty spectacular. And all of the rooms have handmade ceramic sinks made by a local artist. Each one has a theme. Each one is different. So some will feature First Nations or Native American artwork. Others will feature bird collector paraphernalia. Others still will have themes like mermaids, or it might be a specific First Nations artist who decorated the room, or the idea of a sea song, because people have heard heavenly music in that room in November. Each room is pretty unique. Most of them are split level. They all face the ocean. Most of the rooms have gardens in front of them. And she's just done a terrific job in making each room unique and interesting by selecting out local artwork, local artisans, old or even modern beds, and really beautiful artwork to suit the theme.
Yeah, I'm looking at the pictures online. It is fantastic, the different rooms that you guys have. So definitely she has an eye for home decor. It looks great.
Yeah, it's always a good idea for people booking to have a look at each room, because there is a clear description of each room, because one is so different from another. It takes about half an hour to describe them all on the phone when people try to book.
Great. The wildlife that surrounds the Sooke Harbour House is one of those special experiences your guests can observe from the patio and seaside views from their rooms. Can you tell our audience what they may see while strolling the exquisite grounds during their stay?
Well, normally you're going to see our worst pests, which are deer all over the property. They eat us out of house and home here. They're here on a daily basis, and they're often around people's car in the parking lots with their little fawns and whatnot. We see bald eagles pretty well every day, and I've heard them all day long this morning. We have river otters living on the property. We have harbor seals in front of the restaurant every day of the year. We have sea lions and various kinds of whales and porpoises that are swimming in this area all the time. And I shouldn't be telling you this because it's not meant to frighten anybody, but we had a cougar run down the street a couple of days ago in front of the local bar.
Wow.
Probably after deer in the neighborhood. And we get the odd bear down the beach as well. So there's a lot of wildlife here, that's for sure. We've seen minks quite frequently, and a lot of wild birds. And some of the western bluebird has come back for the first time in 40 years this year. There are hummingbirds everywhere. It's a great place for bird watching. We're in a remote area. There are a lot of animals around here.
Great. The Sooke Harbour House is located, again, in British Columbia, just 45 minutes from Victoria, only 5-hour flight from Las Vegas, and an experience that is rated once in a lifetime. You can book your reservations by contacting the Sooke Harbour House at 250-642-3421. That's 250-642-3421. Or you can go to their website, SookeHarbourHouse.com, which is SOOKE, harbourhouse.com. And Harbor is spelled Harbour, house.com.